Greetings to all the Juggernaut fans out there. That was stupid.
What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to not our channel but Nerd's channel. Today we have the spike weather reveals from the one and only clan selection. So during the year we will have the time to get our supports. And this time, we have Juggernaut supports, but it's not only Nerd, you also have me. I'm doing the intro on his channel. You have me, I'm D.Boy from Crushing the Meta. So, Nerd, what do you think about these beautiful Juggernauts that we have received?
Actually, it's not supposed to be 3 Juggernauts, right?
I think we thought Juggernaut, right? It was like Maximum, but also Maximum?
I mean, that makes sense since his name did mention Maximum twice, so of course it makes sense to have 3 Juggernaut Maximum.
I also remember getting a Skydiver.
Let me change that real quick. Oops. That's fail. And again, much better. In any case, welcome to the channel. And of course, for this video, it's only going to be the reveal video for Spike Brothers. These 3 cards are not only powerful, they are also generic, means that any build within the Spike Brothers clan can use all these 3 cards. Now, which build fully utilized all these 3 card support is still up for debate. At this point, of course, Juggernaut being Juggernaut, we all know and love the original Spike Brother unit. And it's actually really surprising that they gave Jugs Maximum to be his own boss unit in Spike Brothers. You don't see that every day, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. We kind of have a boss monster being Maximum himself, which originally was a G-Guard, and then they gave us Skydiver back, which is very interesting because it's one of the oldest cards, one of the iconic cards when it came to Spike Brothers. And also Reckless Express, as he was a high rarity card that actually kind of did the same thing as a Bracky, because he was a 12k attacker while the Bracky was a 14k attacker. So all 3 cards that we have got are very interesting, but them choosing Maximum to be the boss monster of his own deck is actually quite interesting. So
is it safe to say RIP Dudleys?
I think it's finally fair to say that we have 3 decks in V for Spike Brothers. But we'll talk about that maybe a little bit at the end of the video.
So let's get started to all the new cards that we are received for Spike Brothers. The first one is Reckless Express. Over the years, he's been training, we see him he's this buff already. Previously, he's like very skinnier. This is really buff.
Yep.
Reckless Express. Although if this unit is on Vanguard Circle, this cost may be paid with Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle, cost Counter Blast 1, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 normal unit from among them, call it to Rearguard Circle as rest, and shuffle your deck. Auto Rearguard Circle. At the beginning of your main phase, put this unit into your soul. Search your deck for up to 1 Reckless Express, call it to Rearguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. Yes, this is probably going to be our new best grade 1 ride target, but there are some implications to whether or not you will want to ride this, because of course, going second while riding this is, I find, to be the most aggressive, as well as the most way of fully utilizing the first skill, because you ride Reckless Express, you Soul Blast 1, you check the top 7, you need to get some of the cards that basically just put himself to soul and a superior call a new unit from the deck. The best example here, of course, is going to be these 3 cards: Skydiver, Jugs Maximum, as well as Bracky, because since his skill is resolved in the right phase and you call one of these 3 units, when you go to the main phase, their skill actually activates by putting themselves to soul and superior call a fresh unit out from the deck, which is standing instead of rest from Reckless Express skill, which may put on some really big aggression on your opponent.
There's one other card that you didn't add in here, is of course Agile Fallback, as basically had the same ability. But exactly what you said, that's the interesting thing about Spike Brothers, is like they do have rules, but they also have ways to break those rules. Like, you're riding into this, being able to get the chance to call something, then comes the main phase, then you activate the ability to be able to recall it and attack. But even without that, even if you have him as a rare guard and you be able to use his ability, the next turn these cards will go to soul and pull a new one. And when we get into the maximum, you will understand where this ability is coming from. Basically, we have Skydiver, which we'll get later. We have Juggernaut Maximum, we have Wonder Boy, we have Bracky, and we have Agile Fallback. So basically 5 cards that Reckless Express could actually abuse to the max, especially while riding.
And of course, these cards actually fuel the soul to use maximum effect. Yeah, maximum effort. And of course, this card does function as a board replenish support unit for maximum skill, because as we all know, if you do restand the whole center column, all of the rear guards are going to go to the bottom of the deck, which is something, I mean, Spike Brothers is being Spike Brothers, everything goes back to the bottom of the deck. So it's actually a minus from the hand, but with Reckless Express, you could actually kind of mitigate some of the costs. Be it the unit that was called by Reckless Express skill is rested, but we have ways to basically play around.
If you use Reckless Express and get a grade 2 or a grade 3, and then use it with something like an Ambush Dexter, then you put that grade 2 or grade 3 into the soul to call 2 cards, and basically you have already called 4 cards. And with that, you already have the skill of maximum being active. It's just a 2-card combo. Or you could just use something like Ronaldo, go to the field, count +1, put a card from your hand to this.
Yeah, it is really disgusting. Although at some point in the game, you might find him a little bit iffy because of he's calling something at rest, and if you don't have cards like Dexter to help you play around that rest state, he might, you know, clog up the board a little bit. Unless, of course, you are playing some other cards that basically has an on-play skill. For example, the PR card Fiona. If you do manage to call Fiona, you basically could Soul Blast one and choose one other unit to get the 10k power, which is actually a lot already. You can even choose Maximum himself to get the 10k profit. But that's basically it for Reckless Express. Really reckless, but extremely powerful. The next card, I think, is the fan favorite card. I mean, people are chanting his name ever since, you know, even before the second wave of clan selection. Skydiver. Do you want to do the honors of reading the skill?
Yeah, of course. When it comes to Skydiver, there are 2 things that are very important. First of all, the art. Second of all, the skill. Cards like Skydiver are very hard to get back into the game, because if you make him mediocre, then people will be like, don't bring him back if you're not making him good. And if you're making him too good, then people would be like, okay, this is too OP. Like, Rising is like so good as of a card, where people were like, when it comes to this Skydiver, they actually made him in a very smart way to support a certain mechanics, but not be the one in the highlight himself, as he normally was the one in the highlights. His ability is 2-part abilities. The second ability is something that we are used to at the moment, which is at the beginning of your main phase, put this card into your soul, search your deck up to a Skydiver, call it to your Vanguard circle and shuffle your deck. So basically the same as a Juggernaut, Bracky, a Wonder Boy, Agile Fallback, and we could continue on. The first ability is something that people expected Skydiver to be a card that will recall something, or get you the ability to call something like the old one. But this one is different. This one is a Wonder Boy and a Juggernaut mixed in one. So with just up to 2 normal units from your drop zone, put them to the bottom of your deck in any order. And this card gets plus 5k for each card put. So he is the same as a Juggernaut Maximum, as in the power that he could get, but he also could recycle the right cards. So he fits the profile of the deck that we are creating very well. Because with Wonder Boy you could not put himself back, but this one could basically put a Wonder Boy and anything else back. And then you could activate those abilities that go at the same time. A Skydiver, a Wonder Boy, and a Juggernaut. But you don't have a Wonder Boy left. You could use Skydiver first to get a Wonder Boy from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck and anything else. And then use the ability of Wonder Boy to get that Wonder Boy that you just put back. And then use the last ability. So He's very flexible, very interesting card in premium and in V. But what do you think about the card?
Well, first of all, this is a villain from a Power Ranger episode. I mean the whole card art, that is. The first part of the skill is actually really did surprise me a little bit, and for the longest time I think I've been running Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy does not really feels like it's as good as this card basically, because the not only Wonder Boy is a great one, he's basically a 13k booster by on his own. I mean, you could push him up to an attacker, but over the years for V Clan collection, Spike Brothers just go full on grade 3 mode. One would say Bastion mode, because you know there's a lot of grade 3s in the deck, but Overdress does not really care if you have, I don't know, 46 grade 3s in the deck. They don't really care. But yeah, because of the right deck. But for this one, it's actually really interesting. And once we get to maximum, the maximum is important. You don't really lose that much from having so many grade 3s in the deck. As what D.Boy has been saying, you basically could recycle some of your stuff that you need for their beginning of main phase, put to soul to superior, another copy of that unit. So if your drop zone has that set unit and basically your deck is dry out of those units, you could basically just use Skydiver first to return those units back, and of course superior call a fresh Skydiver, which will be a 23k attacker, which is actually a lot. And not to mention, this deck does favors more into force 2, which makes the deck even worse. Well, not worse for your enemy, good for you. But yeah, it's actually a very nice, although it's not necessarily a stapler card for Juggernaut Maximum deck. Some other decks can use this card as well. For example, Dudley Emperor, because Dudley Emperor is so important that your opponent will kill it as soon as they see it on the field. So in order to combat that, you basically could just use Skydiver to recycle them back to the bottom of the deck, and then superior call them back out with Ambush Dexter or any other Dudley cards. But then again, it's a very welcoming sight to see it return, and I'm sure a lot of Spike Brother players are rejoiced and basically celebrating this card's return. And next, of course, we will be going into the big boy himself, Juggernaut Maximum. Not really a fan of the name, but
Well, when we got this card as G-Guard, everybody was like, why? Just make an interesting name. No, just call him Maximum. Okay, sure, Bushi, whatever you want.
Maximum effort from Bushi. He has 2 skills. Auto Vanguard Circle. At the beginning of each main phase, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, until the end of turn, this unit gets continuous Vanguard Circle. All of your units placed this turn gets 5k power and 5k shield. Second skill, Auto Vanguard Circle once per turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attack, if 4 or more of your rearguards were placed this turn, cost Soul Blast 3, choose a column, and stand all of your units in that column. If you stand this unit gets drive -1 until the end of turn. And at the end of that turn, put all of your rearguards on the bottom of your deck in any order. We got a lot to talk about. And yeah, this is a new boss unit. The 5k power boost, although it does not seem a lot for this deck, but it actually makes a difference. If this card skill is a auto skill, then it's a different story, but since it's a continuous.
Yeah, it's kind of strange the way they write it, because they say at the beginning of your main phase you will get the skill. So basically that's something that you will never get with Rising.
Yeah.
And then they said continuous, all of your units placed this turn get plus 5k power 5k. Yeah, so basically he will also be a Vanguard which has 5k shield. Some people would say, why did they write the first ability in this way? Why didn't they just say all of your units placed this turn get plus 5k power 5k shield? Now the reason why they did that is Rising copying him. If Rising copies him, he copies him in the main phase, which means the first ability will never get off because he did never get the chance to be able to be a Vanguard at the beginning of the main phase. So basically the first part of the ability, you could take all of the text out and you say, if not used with the Rising, all of the units you call get plus 5k. So that's kind of interesting that they designed it in this way. If he is the boss of his own deck, then he gives your units the power and the shield. If he's not, if he is used in another deck, then basically you will not be able to get that part of the ability.
The 5k shield, although you don't really see it as much, but it does actually encourage you to run a heavy draw focus, because the 4 regular draw trigger that you are putting into a deck is basically a 10k shield. I mean, you can just run it and you don't really suffer a lower value of shield because it's a 10k shield. As long as your Vanguard is Juggernaut Maximum, each and every Guardian Circle units that is placed to guard your opponent's attack will be getting a 5k shield. That includes all of your critical triggers as well as heal trigger. So you don't actually really feel bad running the grade 3 heal guardians because they're essentially 20k shield.
You could play the Sentinel crits. Like, you don't really have to play Sentinel PGs because your Sentinel crit is a 35k shield. I mean, normally that's more than enough to stop an attack. Well, with the PG, you still have to discard a card, and the PG will be 5k shield plus a Sentinel.
That's right.
Because he would still give you a perfect guard the extra 5k shield.
I generally feel really safe while actually riding into him. Unfortunately, the shield bonus does not apply to intercept because intercept is intercept. It's not place. So it's a bit sad, but then again, most of your front row is going to be grade 3s anyway, so I don't think that matters as much. We actually have a restanding Vanguard, which is very not Spike Brothers, but then again, it is Spike Brothers, so rules are meant to be broken in Spike Brothers. And I think this card is the first card within Spike Brother to actually have a restanding Vanguard skill.
If we're not talking Redon, then yes, this is the first one.
I mean, within Spike Brothers. So you are able to either restand a full column rearguard or a full column of himself and the back row. At first glance, you might think it's only like a +1 attack, but it's actually +2 if you restand the agile fullback at the back. And I'm telling you, at the minimum, agile fullback will be attacking for 25k if he is on the field or superior call by ambush Dexter. So which means that you will at the minimum have 6 attack if you don't basically ride into Rising Nova to copy the skill. Of course, together with Rising Nova, you're able to generate even more attacks. But if you were to ride into Juggernaut Maximum, you have at the minimum 6 attacks. And of course, this whole deck and the support does gain power like free. For example, Juggernaut just appears and then +10, Bracky +10, this one appears from skill +10. It's free. However, if you do restand the center column, all of your rear guards will be going back to the bottom of the deck, which is not really great. But then again, you're basically getting a extra Vanguard attack, which is quite scary. And also not to mention agile fullback once again.
There is the chance that you could try to restand the Vanguard column. Also works. So let's say that you have a Juggernaut Maximum in a column with a Force 2 marker, and you have behind him, let's say, Gunner back. I mean, it still could attack from the back row, so you could combine those two. And because this deck doesn't really use that much counterblasters, except Ronaldo and Reckless Express, maybe you don't even have to play cards like Rona, but you could. And with that, you actually have some counterblasters to spare, so you could use like the skills to power him up and use stuff like that. But I think, all in all, the card Maximum is very good. In V, he will basically have his own deck, and you will be able to combine him with Rising.
So yeah, it's actually really lucky that we get such good cards, because the clan selection this time is very very volatile, I would say. Some clans don't really get really good skills, card skills. Fortunately, Spike Brothers is not one of them. I'm not gonna say which clan, you guys be the judge of that. In any case, speaking of the combo video, as mentioned before for D.Boy, he does already upload the combo video on his channel. And of course, the link to that video will be in the description, or you just simply type Crushing the Meta. You should be able to find him with the fist bump towards you. In any case, do check him out, and of course, do give him a like and subscribe. Of course, since we're all YouTubers, we're mandatory to say that. And that is all for this video. And yes, you see it right, it's 3 Juggernauts. No Skydiver, no Reckless Express. It's all Juggernaut.
It will be a deck where you will play a Juggernaut.
To the point where you have Juggernaut PTSD. I know some of my friends already have PTSD from me just spamming Juggernaut in their faces. That is all for this video, and of course, do like and subscribe if you like this video, and do ring the bell notification icon. Not only my channel, Crushing the Meta as well. He is D.Boy.
He's Meta Nerd.
We'll see you
on the field.